Get the coolest mesh online at mesh.alfred.vip.
Probably looking at my eyes.
How did that happen?
Well, have you ever heard of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC?
That's the bloody thing they're trying to ban.
This guy is the best he has ever seen.
Do you hate each other when you fight?
Why isn't it an octagon? Why are they using a wrestling type ring, a boxing type ring? But, let's just keep watching. And the way it is going already, I think they want to criticize the UFC because of its association with Trump. And of course, this is Hollywood. I know they associate it with toxic masculinity and all of that. This is what media is. Media is all about propaganda. Movies is all about pushing an ideology. That is what it is. And why do you think it has so much fun? And why do you think there are so much woke movies? People are not looking for woke movies. The audience do not want it. It's not about entertainment. So it is not trying to meet a need. It's trying to conform and change society. It's trying to change the way society thinks. That's what media has been used for. That's why I emphasize the importance of Christians and churches to make their own movies. Make your own music. Because music, movies, video games, all these things are things and tools that are used to shape the mindsets of society. You only have 2 hours of service in church, but people leave church and then they walk into a world where there is radio, there is the internet, there's all kinds of programs that is all trying to feed their own ideology and their own way of thinking. And now more than ever we see political groups who are aware of it and use all these means that are more effective to push a message and to change the society than just expecting people to come into a church. People may not walk into your church. Have you ever walked into an LGBT whatever? But yet, their mentality is everywhere. They push it in the news. Oh, people should have the rights to do this. Oh, this, that, that. They push their agenda and their news stories. They kill news stories that make them look bad and push news stories that promote their ideology. If an LGBTQ person kills somebody, they will hide the fact that it's LGBT. If somebody that used to go to church or wants to go to church or is a pastor does something wrong, they will have to emphasize that person is a pastor. Oh, pastor did this, pastor did that. They will emphasize that in the news. But if that person is LGBT, they will put it, they will hide it. If someone is killed, if there are 3 people killed over here and then there's 1 person killed over here, who that person is transgender, for example, and that person was killed because the real reason that person was killed is because that person pretended to be a woman, passed as a woman, got in bed with of course with his fellow sinner, and then that person discovered that it was a man after all and got angry and killed the person. Now they will say that it is trans people are dying, oh, trans people are victims, oh, it is transphobia, look at this. But you forget the whole situation of what happened. Now I'm not justifying anybody's death or the killing of anybody, but understand the whole situation. This person, deceived somebody, that they were a woman, and then when they went to bed, they discovered saw something else, and a lot of people, especially a lot of people who are obviously fellow sinners, will not attack the same person like if they're attacking a man. They will not fight like if they're attacking a woman. They will fight. It will become violent. And then it's when the trans person gets killed, they'll say, look at what trans people are going through. Trans people are getting killed. No, why didn't you upfront say this is what you are and save yourself all that trouble of getting killed? But this is the kind of thing that you have to understand. Everybody has their ideology and different groups have their own agenda. So if Christians are not pushing their own agenda in every means possible and through every avenue, not just entertainment, they talk about the 7 mountains and beyond. Take everything. Politics. Where are the Christians in politics? There are Muslims in politics who are actively, yes, they are here to protect Muslim rights and to make sure that the whole country becomes Muslims. And they get into politics and they use politics as a means to Islamize the whole nation. Where are the Christians who enter politics with the purpose of, let me use my position in politics to, at the very least, protect Christians, protect people who convert. There are a lot of countries all around the world and different places. Even in your country, there are groups that are trying to make sure that if someone converts from their religion to Christianity, it becomes illegal. And that is actually part of the reason why some religions have lasted so long, like Islam. If they stop killing people who convert out of Islam, or and they stop persecuting people who convert out of Islam, there will be fewer Muslims in the world. You know, one of the reasons why Islam lasted so long and grew as it grew is because of that. They kill, you know, it's like there's no out. When you are in, you are in. If you are born into such a family, the family will disown you or kill you if you decide to go, and that is honorable to them, and that is their shortcut to heaven. And they should praise the family member that indulges in killing the other family member that decided to convert out. So if that was not there, a lot of belief systems would have faded away, because a lot of people would have walked away. That is reality, you know. So understand this, you know. There are so many agendas. I have to be honest, but you know, the woke crowd will make it think, I don't look this way, oh, this guy is pushing, you know. And that is the thing. They have put it on people like, oh, you shouldn't think this way, oh, and it hides reality. Like, some people may listen to what I say and say, what I'm saying is Islamophobic. No, what I'm saying is the truth. Where did I lie? And because they have used words like that, now you are not allowing yourself to see the reality or accept the reality. That it's not something that I had to tell you, something that you should have known, because it's the reality. It has always been. But they have used those situations to condition your mind that this is the only way to think. And what is happening is happening. And that's how Islam is growing. And, you know, a lot of other ideologies. This is how LGBT grows. You know, through, you know, not the Islam style, but they have their own pushing of their ideologies through the movies, through propaganda, through the news and all these things. You know, like the example of what I say with the trans news story that they will choose to tell, and then the Christian news story they will choose to tell. They never tell any story about a Christian helping people. How many Christian churches help people? There are a lot of widows and children all around the world that are feeding and are being helped by Christians. Even the laptop I'm using now was a gift by a Christian, from a Christian that I don't even know, I have never met. You know, so Christians are the most giving, but that news is not told. Why is it that when somebody helps someone, it is not newsworthy? Especially when it's a Christian that does it. When a Christian church does something good, it is not newsworthy. But it's when there is rumor that the pastor did so and so, that is the one that is all over the news. When, you know, if somebody helps someone, if a baby is born, they don't celebrate it, but you know, they will put obituary page. They want to advertise death. Why don't you advertise life? Oh, a baby was born. Why are you so happy about the death? You look at newspaper, bad news, chaos, fear, because that is what sells magazines. That is what they want to push. Negativity. Oh, what if this bad thing happens? Oh, look at this thing that happened. Oh, always tabloid, always gossip, always negativity. What about the good things that people do? It is never talked about. It's only the bad things that people do, that people want to push in the news. You know, this is why Christians should own their own media networks and their own media stations. You know, all this money that we are taking for tithe, let us start using it to acquire corporations and use those corporations to push the gospel. Because we are in a world where you have corporations like Google, Tesla, that controls majority of all the technology that we use today. Between Google, Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, most of these companies are companies that own majority of all the technology that we use today and we will use in the future. Imagine when they have an agenda that is non-Christian or that is antichrist in the future. What happens? Everybody has to go along or play into it or be programmed by it. We now have AI that creates artificial profiles and targets people and changes their ideology, studies people and what will annoy them. If someone is, for example, Muslim, they can put news that will make it look like a lot of create fake news and all of that and stories, and create people that will insult them. Oh, I'm a Christian, and then insult them and their belief, and make it look like, oh, this is what Christians feel about you. But that's an AI bot, and then they go to the Christian and then they push, oh, I'm a Muslim, this, that, I wish you that, and then insult Jesus and all of that. And so it's like, oh, this is what this person feels about you. And they do it with politics now. And to make people change their alignments, oh, Trump is the devil. Oh, this is what Trump thinks. Oh, this is what Trump supporters think. Oh, look at this Trump supporter is personally insulting you. But it's an AI bot. It's not a real person that is insulting you. And so you look at it as, oh, the people who support this politician hate me because of my skin color, or the people who are in this political party are personally attacking me here and this. But it's an AI bot. And so all of this, now, of course, there are real people, but there's also now news reports of AI bots doing this. And that there were bots even before the ChatGPT. There were bots that were doing this. But now with AI bots, it's now automated. It does not require programming anymore. It just lets run and let loose on the internet and left. So the AI keeps learning and keeps acting that way. And this kind of thing can be used to create dissent, and it can be used to start wars. And this is the world that we are living in. So if Christians own the technology, such things will not be. Christians who are not just Christians in name alone, but Christians as in they believe in the Bible, they follow Christ, they obey Christ, they believe in the teachings of Christ. If we do not own the technology, how will the Antichrist not come even sooner?
Absolutely not.
How do you know Mark Kerr?
Oh, we go way back. But he's a buddy of mine.
Come on, baby. Too much?
Never.
Too much?
No.
Please welcome in his Octagon debut, Mark Kerr!
Okay, they are finally showing the octagon scene.
Winning is the best feeling there is. It's 40,000 people,
Yeah.
and they're cheering you on. There's no other high like it in the world. No contract, no money?
No money.
Do you have any stronger pain medication?
Advil?
Advil?
Yeah.
Don, would you like
No.
They're handing them out like candy. Let's all get in. Everybody get in. Hey, Don, can you take this picture for us?
Yeah.
What are you thinking at the beginning of the fight?
It's simple. Am I going to hurt him before he hurts me?
And then she's crying. Of course, they will show that is what they will show. So there is basically a hit piece on the UFC. And I'm sure, obviously, the motivation is the same thing, oh, let us attack toxic masculinity. But it's also addressing, the pain. This is actually men hurting each other. But you could apply the same logic to boxing. UFC just the heightened, a more violent version of a boxing. So every argument you want to push here can also be pushed to boxing. It applies to boxing too. And obviously, I'm somebody that if I had kids, I wouldn't want them involved in boxing or the UFC. So keep that in mind. I will not recommend it for anybody. I remember reading a book one time by, if you remember, Hanna-Barbera, the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I read a book by one of them. One of the, because it's William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. I hope I'm not mixing the names. Those are two guys that own that Hanna-Barbera. That cartoon studio that came out with Flintstones, Johnny Quest, Droopy, the Master Detective. A lot of the cartoons, of that early era, Wacky Racy, Scooby-Doo, all those cartoons came from that same studio. They were never financially big like Walt Disney, but they created a lot of cartoons that mark an era and that still exist to today. Casper the Friendly Ghost, Richie Rich, all those kind of a lot of stuff. Richie Rich is more of like a comic fest, but there were a lot of things that were in-house, like the Flintstones and all of that. So the book I read by one of them, he said something about his early days as a Jew in New York, that he went into boxing, and it was after he got beat up and he saw his promoter getting paid, and then he looked at this thing, or whether he was about to enter this thing, the boxing ring. He saw the promoter laughing, getting paid. Him is going to get pummeled, something of that nature. That he looked at the whole situation and said that, man, he's entering the business from the wrong end. That the right end of this business is to be the one who is getting paid, either being the manager, the promoter, all of that. Be somebody who is not actually getting into the ring but making the majority of the money. That is the right end of the of the business. That he's entering the business from the wrong end. And he quit boxing, and we thank God that he chose to make cartoons. But otherwise we probably would never have gotten something like the Flintstones and the Jetsons and all the other stuff that Hanna-Barbera came out with, and Scooby-Doo and the rest. But in any case, it's the same thing with the UFC and boxing. I would even arguably say NFL, because this, like, using that concoction, Will Smith concoction angle to address issues like with the NFL, like with the sport itself, like how the toll the sport takes on the individual. So there's that angle of the whole thing. But I know in this situation, they are doing it not because they care about the UFC, not because they care about men, but to attack the whole toxic masculinity stuff. Say, oh, the US is the epitome of toxic masculinity. Because everything you are saying here applies to boxing. And even on a lesser note, to every judo competition, to every martial art competition that children do. And you can also take it to every wrestling competition that is in every high school. So that is it. Even college wrestling, you can also take that along. The UFC is just a more heightened level of all of that. So if you want to address it, address the whole thing. If you want to condemn it as in the toll it takes physically on the body, do it the whole thing. As a matter of fact, this reminds me of something that a certain basketball player was saying about Kobe Bryant. He said that he worked out with Kobe Bryant, and this is a very popular basketball player. And he talked about working out till Kobe Bryant worked out till he passed out. And he also, this is an NBA player. This is a popular NBA player, that has, we know he's physically super fit. This guy played basketball in training and in practice so much that he passed out. How is that healthy? And this is how Kobe Bryant worked out regularly. How is that healthy? So basketball in itself may not be as physical as UFC, but you can take risks that are such a toll on your body, because that's, working out that much, it might have made Kobe Bryant so great as a basketball player, but what toll is that taking on his body? Or on the body of all of that, to exercise and to work out to the point that you pass out, you faint. And that is something you do regularly. It has become a different kind of addiction, so just to maintain that number one spot. Michael Jordan said something very interesting. He said that when people see him, do all those remarkable things on the court, yes, it's the first time they are seeing it, but he has done it 1,000 times or more during practice. So for every shot that Michael Jordan made under pressure, any trick shots, different style that he used to get the ball into the basket, that people are like, oh, how did he do it? He has already practiced all kinds of scenarios. What if the person is here? What if there's an opposition here? What if somebody is here trying to block the shot? So he has already practiced all of that during practice 1,000 times. So when you see him do it once on the court, and when you say, oh, Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time, but he has practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. You've not seen all those hours of practice. So my point is that that toll taken on an athlete's body applies across all range of sport, depending on how the person plays. By the way, that is what made Michael Jordan that great. And as a matter of fact, when people talk about the NBA, being lazy, or the WNBA being what it is, because the players today do not work as hard behind the scene as previous players. The reason why you can see an old Magic Johnson tape or Bird tape and all of that and see the kind of way that people played with so much excitement and with so much, passion, and, it was so engaging, is because we had people who were, the whole team were full of people who believed in hard work. And they worked out a lot, they exercised, they practiced a lot. So you are dealing with people, with super talented people from around the world who practice a lot. So you have to come with your best game every game. And you have to play your heart out for you to actually score only 1 point or 2 points, as it were, depending on the sports. So that is something you have to think about. But in today, we live in an entitled society where everybody feels like they deserve $1 billion and for doing the least amount of work. So we have people who do not put in that much work as compared to previous people. So we see how a lot of sports suffer. And we are saying, oh, they used to play better before, they don't play now. Oh, the people are lazy. Oh, this team is not that good and all of that. So that's the reality. Of course, also with part of that entitlement and the way things are, people rather make 3-point shots all day long rather than actually playing basketball, in the NBA and all of that.
I'm sure
this Grand Prix to crown the greatest fighter in the world.
So it is a movie, a documentary, or basically just a hit piece.
He has come back from the brink.
Let's see if he can pull out a victory over Mark Coleman. Have you spoken to either about fighting such a good friend for a life-changing amount of money?
I just need you to let me in.
always about you. Only about fighting you.
Let's fucking go.
I'm not feeling it at all. And this is why I emphasize the importance of Christian making movies, cartoons and entertainment. We have to put our message out there. That's the reality of the matter. That means remember to check out Alfredo.vip for more.
Say this prayer audibly if you have not given your heart to Jesus Christ. Dear God, I believe in my heart that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came, died, and was raised from the dead to save me. I confess Him, Lord, over my life and ask You to give me Your Holy Spirit to live within me. I receive Your Spirit by faith and thank You for I am now born again. In Jesus' name, amen. If you just prayed that prayer, congratulations, you're now a Christian. Go to Alfred.vip and get resources that will help you with your work with God.